We're moving right along, and so at this time, I would like to invite our board president, Sue Rogax, and our Southeast Regional Coordinator, Carla Ezell, to come up and join me on the stage. Carla Ezell has been on our staff for a few years now, and she represents, could I have your attention, please? Carla represents the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation in the southeastern part of the state, down in the Philadelphia area. And she also helps us with our outreach, education outreach, to the African American community in our state. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you Carla Ezell.
To God be the glory for what he has done. Good evening, everyone. About 8 to 10 years after World War II, there were documentaries about the imprisonment of the Jews in the concentration camps and their extermination on TV every Sunday afternoon. The Germans kept excellent records and film documentation of the Holocaust of the Jews in Europe, and also the experiments that were done on their children. I've often thought if this country would expose the American people to films showing the result of an actual abortion, Roe versus Wade would have been overturned years ago. But those in charge of the airwaves would never let that happen. Too much truth would be exposed. That's why we have to pray. Psalms 10:11 says, "He has said in his heart, God has forgotten. He hides his face. He will never see it." This is what Planned Parenthood and others want us to believe. But God has given us a man that has shown the truth of what an aborted baby looks like, using the internet for the world to see through blackgenocide.org. Pastor Childress has shown the light on African American babies being purposely slaughtered through Planned Parenthood, who continues the work of the eugenist Margaret Sanger. He also diligently teaches young people to never stop fighting to expose the truth. He travels across the United States to the universities, explaining to students the Holocaust of African American babies. He also accepts invitations to speak at churches that have never heard the message. Imagine after 45 years, there are still churches that don't know this message of what is going on. I know when I asked him to come to my church, he did not hesitate. He came and he spoke. When he stopped speaking, you could hear a pin drop. Pastor has done this work without apology for years. He's a humble man with the courage to stand for what he knows is right. Psalms 10:12 says, "Arise, O Lord, O God, lift up thine hand, forget not the humble." And Pastor, you did not forget the baby in the womb. God has made a warrior of his own choosing in you. Therefore, the Board of Directors of the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation proudly presents the 2018 Pennsylvania Pro-Life Lifetime Achievement Award to the Reverend Clenard H. Childress, Jr. for his vision, his voice, and valued leadership in exposing the reality of abortion in the instrument of the Black genocide, which destroys the innocent lives of a disproportionate number of preborn Black babies and devastates their mothers in body, mind, and soul. Ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Clenard Childress.
Thank you so much. I thought it was going to be after the meal and everything. I was pouring cream in my coffee, and she's reading this off, and I said that I didn't know she was talking about me at first. So, but I'm so grateful and honored, and certainly we have reached a key moment. Some of the seminary students would say a kairos moment, where truly divinity is touching humanity to rise up with the proper mechanism around you this time, proper administration around you this time, and a judge whom Satan tried to destroy. The thief cometh but to steal, kill, and destroy. And you witness what you fight every day. That's what I found it humorous, that people saw the vitriol, the hatred, the evil that was being perpetrated against this individual, and they didn't care about him, his wife, or his family. They cared about power. But that's evil. And abortion is evil. And he represents a key time now in this country that if the proper legislation would ascend to the Supreme Court, unquestionably, when you saw Satan fighting so much, you know exactly what he will do. But it's going to come back to the states probably, and it'll be in a short period of time. And we have to keep upward mobility in those people who are crying out for those who cannot cry nor speak for themselves. Disproportionately amount of those people are African American. So as a pastor and a shepherd, we're supposed to warn our sheep from the wolves. Unfortunately, a lot of times they're wolves in sheep clothing. And so we must have the grassroots, the religious cooperation. If we cannot agree on an infant having life, then what can we really agree on? And so therefore what has happened is we have an ecumenical coming together for the sake of the unborn. And I know God looks down on his people and smiles for this time. And no one is insignificant. This represents me, my wife, my church, because they stand with me, but it also represents you. And I'm not trying to say that to sound so humble or anything. It just happens to be a divine fact. We are together. The hand cannot say to the foot, I have no need of thee. We all are corporately together to bring about a product of redemption, and America's most egregious sin one day will end. And I truly believe that's what this work in Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation, and I remember Michael when he first started, I believe, amen, and how vibrant, and he hasn't lost that zeal. And that zeal is basically going to be exactly what you need now. Because if you think evil is upset now, you need to get ready, because their last efforts will be their worst. And you stand in between that. And this is about the shedding of innocent blood. It's evil's greatest stronghold on this country. And I say this in closing because I'll keep going. I'm a Baptist preacher, praise God. I got to step away from the mic to make sure I keep going. White House is important. Congress is important. And the Senate is important. And I don't see us losing it in November, but I'll just say this. Even if you should, I don't believe you will, we will. God says his house, because judgment begins where the responsibility lies. Judgment begins at the house of God. God's not going down to check out the White House before he would check out our house. And we are the determining factor on whether or not abortion remains in this country. Never think anything less. We're key. If my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from our wicked ways. He said he would hear from heaven, he would forgive our sin, and he would heal the land. He didn't say if my White House. He didn't say if my Congress. He didn't say if my Senate. Who do you think God is looking at? His people. And when his people say enough is enough, this will end. God bless you.